Which one is that?
Welcome to another episode of Black Ice Reality Check. I'm your host, Black Ice. Before I start this session, again, make sure you go to the description box in this YouTube video at the bottom or the hyperlink in Instagram and order HV Alpha. Helps you with your cognitive focus, brain function. Make sure you order. Got a special guest today in the house, the one and only, the dating master, relationship guru, Troy Francis, all the way from the other side of the pond, London.
Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Right on. And we have a guest that's running late, by the way, so we'll wait till he gets here. We're still going to go. Troy, thank you. You were here yesterday with Pearl. We were on.
Absolutely, man, yeah.
With a group of people. Got kind of...
Got quite a little bit spicy at points, didn't it?
Why don't you go ahead and... I've watched your videos, but tell the audience what you do. Like, get into what you're doing and what your main focus is.
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, so basically, my name's Troy Francis. I'm a dating coach. I'm based in London in the UK, which is where I'm from, although I spend a lot of time traveling. And fundamentally what I do, and I work with a few other guys, but what I do is teach guys basically how to come across better in front of women that they want to attract, okay? So it's basically dating coaching, okay? So we go around and, coach guys maybe in the city where they live or in a different city. We talked about Colombia yesterday, one of those places where, the dating scene is quite amicable towards dudes.
Right.
We might take them there or we might do it in their home city and we'll just take them out and really work with them to make sure that they upskill themselves with like rears, flirtation, all that stuff.
So you actually go there with them?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's a bit of everything really because I've got online courses as well. So I'll do like online tuition, I'll do consultation calls with guys. And obviously, as a sort of marketing effort, I also create content. So I do YouTube like you and go on these podcasts and all that kind of stuff. But the bread and butter of it really is working with guys. So it's a split between doing stuff online with guys, which can be really good. But in the end, there's something about it. It's really good to actually physically meet up with the person and just see what they're doing.
That's good. Yeah. So you have a book out?
Yeah, well, I've got a collection of books, actually, because I actually wrote quite a few. There's like 11 books, which sounds ridiculous. They're fairly short, though.
Okay.
But nevertheless, there's like 11 books of different sort of kinds, basically about dating, about game, all that kind of stuff. Put it together in a bundle, which is called Renegade Dating Blueprint. So I've written a whole bunch of stuff because I started out as a blogger, really.
Yeah, there's a book out like One-on-One Leadership by John Maxwell. So I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a mentor in leadership. But he has little books and he's got a big one, but he's got all these little short.
Yeah. I mean, these books are relatively short, but I mean, put together, they cover different aspects of dating. So there's things like I've got one called Still in the Game, which is aimed at guys who are like sort of 40 plus. For those sort of slightly older,
I might need to read that.
Absolutely. Well, exactly. None of us are getting any younger, are we? So for those slightly more mature,
what's the number? What's the challenges that you've used? How long have you been doing this for?
Well, I've been teaching it for about a decade, but in terms of being out there and doing it, I mean, really since my 20s,
So what's changed in the last 10 years for dating? Has it been progressively more challenging for men or easier for men?
It's a funny question because I think it's, in a way, a bit of both, if you know what I mean. Because I think the stock answer is it's got harder.
The what?
The stock answer, I would say, is it's got harder because of Instagram, because of the dating apps. And, we all know women have got all these choices. They're getting hit up with DMs all the time. They're getting, likes on their pictures and all that kind of stuff. So in that sense, it's getting harder because the market is more competitive. On the other hand, let's be honest, the market is also more anything goes these days.
Really?
In the sense that, I think, was it you I was talking to about this or somebody else? But if you think back to sort of 10, 15 years ago, women may have been a bit more backwards in terms of, okay, we're going to need to do 3 dates here and I really want to get to know you and blah, blah, blah. Right now, we're in Vegas, we've got the pool party. These girls aren't necessarily waiting around for 3 dates in order to get intimate, right? So what I'm saying is there's a lot of opportunity out there, but is that opportunity being limited to what's perceived as the top?
Yeah, we actually driving. I dropped you and Pearl off.
Yeah,
we're in the car.
Not together.
All together. Yeah. We were driving to the hotels after the podcast, and she had asked the question, and we kind of talked about that. How is it easier now, or what? What's different? And which was great because Pearl's, with all her knowledge, she's asking us.
Yeah.
Which you don't see a lot of people do, right? You see a lot of women ask other women, and they don't ask men what they think.
Yeah.
And even if the men give them the facts and the data, the objective truth, they don't like it.
Yeah.
And they throw it out with the baby in the bathwater, right? So I find that very interesting. That's so. Do you have so is it a type of class that you sign up for? How's it work if a guy wants to get enrolled?
So there's a couple of things. So it depends really what they want to do. I mean, what I normally like to do is if guys approach for help, I'll sort of get them on a phone call and try and, just talk to them about what their actual challenges are and then figure out what the best way forward for them is. I mean, at the moment, and I don't want to make it into a big sales pitch, but at the moment, in August, I've got a class with a colleague of mine called James Tusk. We're doing this course called The Edge, which is an online course, and there's also a boot camp if people want to do that as well. And that is really teaching guys how to, as it says, how to have edge when they're going into these interactions. Because, the first problem that guys have is they're not approaching, they're not doing anything. But the second problem is that if they are approaching, they tend to approach and kind of interact with these women in quite a nice guy sort of fashion. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to tell you the story.
Okay.
I got a different approach.
Yeah?
That works for me.
Okay.
So I was in the casino. I played a lot of cash games poker.
Yeah.
And this gal came up to me. Now, she's a working girl, okay? They're full of working girls, to a point.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I saw her coming, and I said, I'm going to kind of mess with her a little bit in a good way. She came to me and said, hey, how you doing? I said, good. She goes, what are you doing tonight? I said, I'm taking a break from poker. She's like, would you like some company? I said, no, not really. She's like, you don't want to have fun? I go, no. I already got 2 girlfriends. No, I don't. I just said that.
Yeah.
I kind of told you the story in the car. She's like, what do you mean? Oh, you got 2 girlfriends. Oh, you like that? You're one of those players? I said, no, they both know about each other. Now, when I was single, I would date multiple girls and tell them because I don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah.
And when I didn't care, I was more attractive from the woman's perspective, which is ironic.
Yeah.
And we know now why it's that way.
Yeah.
Well, when we were going through the game, we're like, what? I don't understand. I'm such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Women inherently don't want nice guys. They want a guy. They want to be treated right, but they don't want a nice guy.
Yeah.
And so what I did is she's like, well, so, she kept hanging around. Like that movie Rounders, hanging around, right? KGB was talking about with Matt Damon. So she kept talking. And I was literally trying to shut her down. She says, so you don't want to have fun? I said, I just told you, I have 2 girlfriends. I'm here taking a break. I can have it whenever I want, which is a fact. I have a girlfriend. But the point is, I was just playing with her. She's like, oh, wow. She goes, that's interesting. And she kept engaging, not from a transaction perspective as a working girl, but interested in me as a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I caught her attention, which I was seeing. I knew it would work. Very attractive girl, very attractive. And then she goes, well, so you want to buy me a drink? I said, no. She goes, why not? I said, why would I buy you a drink when I got 2 girlfriends? Well, just to be nice. I said, I'm not a nice guy. I'm a bad boy. She's like, no, I don't think so. And then I go, why don't you have one of these simps go buy drinks? She says, why do guys always say that? Why are you guys like that? I said, look, the fact that I'm not interested in you, you're very attractive. I don't need to have fun. I can have fun whenever I want. I got 2 girlfriends. She would not go away.
Yeah.
And then she goes, well, what if I give you my number? I said, I told you I don't need. No, maybe we can, hang out. She actually was looking at me as for a relationship or a mate.
Yeah.
So prior to that, and I'm getting to my point, men don't approach women.
Yeah.
I find sometimes quite the opposite. That if I go into a lounge or a restaurant or somewhere, prettiest girl in there. I said this to guys, watch. I'll look at her and then turn my head like she's not shit.
Yeah.
Now she's intrigued. And then I find the woman kind of orbiting around me, trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
And she'll walk by, look, and just kind of laugh out loud. And she's like, did he just laugh at me? They're so bothered by the fact that I'm not enamored by their looks that now they're interested in me.
Yeah.
It's a weird effect.
Yeah.
And it honestly, it's sad that it has to be that way because I think in the 1950s, I don't think it was that way. Can you talk about that dynamic? What do you see?
Yeah, I think, no, it's a really interesting story. And I mean, like you said, I think we know why that works because it's that push-pull thing, isn't it? And, you seem to be slightly unavailable or totally unavailable. And so she's like, shit, I gotta get hold of this guy. I gotta pull this guy in. So it works really well. And I do agree with you. I think as a strategy, I mean, I get the point about yeah, you can go into the bar, you see the cute girl, you kind of look at her, and then you look away, and then she kind of orbits around you. So that can work. I think what a lot of guys have an issue with though is that they don't really have the skill set to, even if she does come over and even if she does present herself, they maybe don't quite have the skill set to really play that in the right way anyway, which is why we encourage guys to approach as a sort of a almost like training wheels, if that makes sense.
No, I understand.
And equally, when we get them to approach, we're getting them to approach in a way that is not simpy, because that's the key thing, isn't it? Because there's different ways of, it's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful, hey babe.
I think it's like an oxytocin high. Because they're like, I can't believe I'm talking to her. And then they try to oversell themselves.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the girl loses interest. And Pearl was even talking about that, how this guy saw her on my podcast and was approaching her. I guess she went on a date with the guy.
Yeah.
Right? She was talking about that.
Yeah.
And then he was super nice. And he fit all the boxes. And then he's like, I want to marry you. And it totally turned her off.
Yeah.
It totally turned her off. Instinctively, biologically, she knew that this isn't the right guy, because the guy with all the resources isn't going to necessarily do that right away.
Exactly, and it's a low value thing. I mean, no offense to that guy, I'm sure he's a great guy, but it's kind of comes across as a low value thing to do, because the woman's going to be thinking, well, if he's willing to just throw everything on the table immediately, what does that say about him? Has this dude not got other options? Is he not? Because actually, I think with long term relationships, it should be the other way around. It should be the woman trying to lock you down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we were talking to a mutual friend of ours about this. Hello, sir.
Thor is in the house.
Thor's in the house.
Late, Las Vegas traffic.
Yeah, no, Las Vegas traffic, people, it's never the same.
Yeah. But I was talking to a mutual friend of ours about this, actually, and he was talking about his wife, and he was saying how she was trying to persuade him for ages and ages for those guys, for them to get together, for them to get into a marriage, and he was almost making it difficult for her. He was almost giving her, like, right, well, if you want to do that, you've got to sell your house, then you've got to come and move over here in my apartment and all this kind of thing, and actually making her almost jump through hoops in order to get that ring. So I think guys have got to be very, very careful about the first pretty girl who kind of smiles in their direction. Go, oh fuck yeah, I'm gonna throw everything at this.
Yeah.
You got to show that you
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you guys know each other.
We do.
Yes, we do.
Good to see you again, sir.
Yeah, pull those mics closer too, guys, if you can.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that.
So no, just this way. Do this. There you go, and then push it up. So this is Thor. So he wrote a book called A Dominant Masculine Presence. I'm going to show the book here.
Yeah.
You got the mic working? This is the
I
book.
don't want to hit his. That's it, man.
That's the book, right?
It's a great cover.
And I met Thor through.
Who is it?
Who designed the cover?
That's not him. That's not him. That's AI. That's got to be AI, right?
No, it's not. Actually, Rollo was designing the cover, and we went back and forth quite a bit. And he goes, well, what's wrong with the one you designed? I said, well, I don't really particularly like it because it was just a placeholder that I put together. And he goes, no. And Rollo goes, no, use it.
I said,
are you serious? And he goes,
Rollo
no,
hasn't done anything for me. He doesn't design nothing for me.
He goes, no.
Rollo, where's the love?
Yeah, he was like, Thor, just use it. I read the book. It's just, it fits. Just do it.
Now, you wrote the whole book yourself. Do you have a co-author? Anybody help you?
No, not at all. I did hire a critic and a professional editor, but I did it backwards. I had the editor first, and then I hired the critic right as I was going to publish.
Oh, okay.
but you do need to do that.
Right,
because you'll get lost in it yourself, and you can't see things. So I know what I'm talking about. I know my audience knows what I'm talking about, but I want to reach a broader audience. Yeah. So that's what I did.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's like somebody's talking about my supplement brand I launched, right? So I have these workout supplements, and all the bodybuilders are like, oh, it needs this. And I said, look, you guys are 0.5% of market. And I don't want crappy products. I want mid-range to good products. But if I target just bodybuilders only, I'm not going to make any money. I'm not just doing it for money, but it's good products. I gave you a sample. Yeah. But no, it's interesting you said that, Thor. So I had the luxury of meeting him on a live. Never spoke to him before. Great, we did a live, and it was on body positivity. We just talked about that yesterday. Lizzo. Lizzo fired her dancers because they were too fat.
That was great.
So and we were just talking. I was talking with Troy about the dynamics of approaching women and how I started once I figured out the game. I started figuring out the reverse psychology approach where I would like almost laugh or not show interest in the prettiest girl in the place. And then she was frustrated as to why I wasn't enamored with her.
Yeah.
And he said the problem with these guys is that when they meet, an average dude meets a pretty girl and they're actually engaged in a conversation, he starts simping. Can you talk about that a little bit?
A little bit about simping.
Well, not that you're simping. We all hey, first of all,
I just did a pre-record.
We
on simping.
we all simped at one time till we figured out the game.
Absolutely,
Like I was a big simp, and then I was like, "What am I doing? I'm a nice guy."
Yeah.
So go ahead, talk about that, Thor.
Well, let's go way back. I mean, simping. What does it actually stand for? The pimps used it back in the 90s, right? It's a sucker idolizing mediocre poon, shall we say. That's what it stood for.
Okay.
And so, and they were talking about a particular clientele, but it really fits our space too, because guys would idolize women.
Sure.
Too much, put them on a pedestal.
Yeah.
They'd create the one-itis, so we say. And when you do that, and I think this is the biggest problem with men today, is that they start off with a scarcity mindset, and then they will convince themselves and put blinders on around everybody and convince themselves the world is absolutely different, because what they're doing is protecting themselves for their future supply or imagined supply of the poon. They will do anything to protect that supply coming in. So it's quite a phenomena. I used to train NPC bikini competitors.
Oh, you did. My girl competes in wellness. She's a national
fantastic
2-time overall champion.
And a lot of these gals would be in their mid-30s and they would be dating, and they would get guys that are good looking, they'd be into fitness, and they would be detested by them because here it is, first or second date, flowers would show up, marriage proposals, all kinds of stuff like that. And that is not what they wanted. Yeah. It was crazy. You ever run into that with your...
Well, we were talking to Pearl, we were talking about Pearl, and we were talking to Pearl yesterday, and she was telling us this story about how a dude on the first date proposed marriage to her. And the ironic thing was, the reason he did that was because I think she had said on a show or something,
She's on my podcast, like...
She'd said something like, oh, I like guys to be up front and cut to the chase and all that. So he thought he was doing the right thing. But even with her, and she may be more of a marriage-minded person, let's say, but even for her, it was a turn-off, because it was like, this is just ridiculous. This is too fast. It's crazy that guys are out there doing this stuff, but they really are.
They really are. And I had experienced this over several years with quite a few of my clients. And it's funny, when you're doing some of that training, you end up being somewhat of a therapist, listening to all the stuff going on.
We can go into that too.
They want to.
They're low body fat. They have no carbs. They're on PEDs. And one out of, it's like, I say this with a grain of salt, right? And it's like my buddy got a McLaren, and I said, look, hope I don't offend anybody. Anybody that buys a British car, 1 in 4 is going to be problematic. And he goes, but the opposite is with the girls that compete, right? 4 out of 5 of them are going to be problematic because all the stuff they're doing in their body, they're low body fat for too long, no carbs, their hormones are out of whack, they're on PEDs, they're competing, and they just end up getting crazy, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I've been there. And so my buddy was coaching like you as well. He's like, I would never date a competitor woman. And then, so that's their version of a roid rage versus the guys on too much trend. Having a trend moment. I call it, are you having a trend moment, dear?
Trend.
So, anyways.
I've been accused of a lot of that stuff, but I'm just hormone replacement.
And can I say that I don't want to expose your personal life, but you've been married for a long time, correct?
Yeah, coming up on 31 years here.
So I get, this is what I get.
Yeah.
I see these comments, and I don't read them. Glenn Lawrence put this all together. Let's give a props out to Glenn Lawrence. Glenn is
he's my master at arms.
Right. He's the DJ Khaled of management. Okay, another one. He did another one. But here's what I want to say. The funny thing is, I don't know where I was going with this. Women always come in the comment section and say, "Oh, look at this guy. He's probably a simp himself. He can't get a girl." Married for over 30 years.
Yeah.
I've been with the same girl for 4 years. Now, he's in a situation where he's dating, and by choice. He could be in a relationship. Mm-hmm. None of us are simping. So the point is, when these women see us, and all these guys don't know what they're talking about, this guy's a professional at what he does.
Yeah.
He's the Liam Neeson. He has a set of skills. I will find you, right?
A unique and varied set
This
of
guy
skills.
wrote a book, right? If anybody's the weakest of the three, it's me. I haven't wrote a book. I've been around.
You got the skills, man.
I've been around 53 years, going on 54. But the point is that we have experience and wisdom, right? Like this is what I tell my girlfriend. She goes, "You think you're always?" I said, "I'm not always right, but I'm rarely in doubt."
There you go.
And I'm not sleeping on the couch. You hear me?
Yep.
So sorry, I didn't want to detach from that, but it's amazing at the comments we see. I don't read the comments anymore. I just like whatever.
Yeah.
Because then you get in this whole debate with them, and then they take your post down.
Yeah, they do. Social media is an interesting thing. I guess I'm a creator now and an influencer, but it's been quite a bit of my social life for the last few years is actually doing this.
Yeah.
For very good reasons. But you can sure get wrapped up in those comments, and they're really meaningless because they don't know a thing about you, but they project onto you.
But I will say this: the older you get, the less you give a shit.
I don't give a shit. Yeah.
I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I won't say her name, but I had a female podcaster on here. Mm-hmm. And we went through, she's single, and we started talking about this. And it was like a unwanted therapy session, but she was talking. It was friendly, and we're laughing. Well, then the videos went up.
Yeah.
And she literally exposed herself, and everybody's commenting. She's like, "Can you take it down?" And I got a profile, I got an image, and she complained. And I kind of knew her, so I'm like, you know what, fine, I'll take it down.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't handle. I knew there was a red flag when that's my thumbnail. You should have told me I can edit the thumbnail. I'm like, oh my God, this woman. The point is this: if you're podcasting or you're on social media and everything has to be filtered, and you want to start a podcast with a woman, don't, because you can't handle people commenting and making comments about you. Look, I'm not frickin' Chad. I don't look perfect. I have people make fun of me, my beard, this or that. He's got short man syndrome. I'm 5'9", I'm average height, whatever. I don't care. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I have my bag, my girl. You have your wife. You have any girl he wants.
Yeah.
And so the point is that these are reliable experts in your field, fair to say. You're not always right, but you're rarely in doubt.
Yep.
You have wisdom, experience, knowledge. You both wrote books. You've mentored and coached men of all ages and demographics and income. So when people watch this podcast, I encourage them, look, take it with a grain of salt. Take what you want from it. Be like the Catholics. Take what you want from the scripture, leave the rest. Joke, but not joke.
That's good.
So I always encourage people. I learn from everybody. Initially, it was like, oh, you're like Kevin Samuels. Hey, that's a compliment. You're like Rollo Tomassi. Hey, that's a compliment. Like Michael Sartain. No, I'm not a robot. I'm not a savant. Or But I'm going to take shit from your book and I'm going to use it. But if anybody says, oh, that's yours, I'm going to say, yeah, I got it from his freaking book.
Well, I'll do you one better. You could use anything in there, even use the term a dominant masculine presence when describing a vibe, and I don't care. You can use it without credit me. I am standing on the shoulders of giants, and I didn't really put anything special. I did put something special together, but it's not secret. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants that came before me, many decades before. I mean, what I'm going to lay out there is the problem that men face and why there's a problem with masculinity. And I'm actually going to dispel, what we all believe right now with alpha, beta, and delta and sigma. And I'm going to say, no, that's actually not how people are. I'm going to show you that in that book there is men that have dominant masculine presence that would fit beta to the T, but their success level and everything they do about them isn't what you would think.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I have identified. I've identified 6 or 7 skills of a dominant masculine presence, and I define those, and they're pretty straightforward. And this is what I'm telling my readers is you get above average in any 3 of those skills, and you'll be ahead of 80% of the men out there. The skills are pretty simple. It's straightforward. It's physicality. It's psychology. It is presence. It is prosperity. It is passion. It is problem solving. Okay? And it is power, as in influence of other people.
Yeah.
Level up in just 3 of those. Say you leveled up in physicality, psychology, and prosperity. What do we have? A Brandon Carter.
But
You see? So that's what I'm
Can I say something and I'll
Yeah.
get back to you on that? It's interesting though, like here's an example. Like I look at Jeff Bezos and I talk about this all the time, this example.
I have an example, yeah.
He, in my opinion, okay, first of all, he's not alpha, but he's successful in business because any guy that now he paid $38 billion for the divorce so he could date this Latina girl. But now he married her right away. He put her on the front of his rocket ship. He's simping. And so everybody's like, well, he's a high-value man. Now, high-value man means like people are flocking to him. Yeah, it's easy for him to date, but he's beta. He's not alpha. He's not alpha. Now, he's on TRT and probably HGH, right? But
you can say that. I'm going to say he actually has a dominant masculine presence, and he gives no fucks. And
no, he doesn't.
Out there, he's buying what he wants. He's buying that gal. Right. He wants her. Fine, I'm going to pay you up.
Fair statement. Fair statement. But the guy can buy. Yeah, he can buy everything, but avoiding taxes and he can do that good too, and death, right? But the point is that the guy.
You could say he's beta, and he fits some of those qualities when we define it by that. But I think it's a much broader spectrum we have to look at.
You're going down.
Can actually get you can raise yourself.
You're going to the micro level, right? I was going more macro, like the surface from what I see. But you have a detailed, in depth. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, no, it's no worry,
Troy.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating stuff. I hear what you're saying about Bezos, and I also hear what you're saying as well. And I think one of the issues in the space is that all of this stuff gets very simplified. And it sounds like you're looking into the nuance of it more because here's the thing, right? You get these dudes on social media. It's like, yeah, man, you got to be an alpha male, and everybody thinks you got to be Tate. It's like, if you're not Tate, if you're not bald, and like
I have a Bugatti. Do you have a Bugatti? The question is, I believe that the man asked me, why do I have a gold Bugatti? I asked him, you don't even own a Bugatti. That's Tate, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, the guy's on a whole new level.
Yeah, but everyone thinks you've got to be that.
Didn't they ask you what color is your Bugatti?
Yeah, something like that, right?
I just said which one.
Everyone thinks you've got to be that archetype. Everyone thinks that you've got to be that same kind of dude, or you've got to be Rich Cooper or whatever. And the reality is you don't. Not even to be successful in dating. There are different archetypes of guys who are very successful in dating.
You said archetypes?
Yeah, I got a whole chapter.
Is it architect or archetype?
No, I got a chapter on archetypes and identity because it's what he says is really, really actually important. It's part of who you are and what you're projecting into the world. And you've seen this. Girls say, I want a guy that I vibe with.
Exactly.
That's what this dominant masculine presence is about. It's not as specific like an Andrew Tate.
Okay.
It crosses all boundaries
but guys,
if you look at it that way.
Guys have a very simplified version of what it is. And it's more nuanced than that. Having said that, I also do think, and I don't know if you speak to this, but there is also clearly an issue with masculinity, I think.
There is.
And there are guys who are very, however you want to label it, but on the simplified, the beta-ified side, just to use simplified language, there are a lot of dudes who, and this is something that myself and Tusk are addressing in this course that we're doing now, The Edge, because it seems to me like a lot of it is, even if the guy is going out there and being social and talking to women and being in contact with women and dealing with women, a lot of dudes, the way that they come across is very, and it's not even just blatant simping like, oh, babe, I'm going to buy you some flowers, I'm going to buy you a computer or whatever. It's just they're being very submissive. They're not being sort of, they don't have that kind of thing
I think they're afraid to lose a girl.
Exactly.
That's what I was talking about earlier. I think that's a big problem with these guys is they convince themselves to do this for fear of losing future potential sexual access.
And we've been talking a lot more recently between ourselves, and we're starting to do a bit of content about it now about the hormonal side of things. I don't want to derail the conversation, start talking about Tren again, but it's a little bit like if there is this fall of testosterone in the general male populace, if some of that was leveled out, or if guys were dealing with that a bit more, maybe the way that they came across would have more of that forceful masculine essence to it. You know what I'm saying?
I think you're onto something. I think it's a multifactorial issue.
Yeah.
And it's varied. You're right. Testosterone across, the West has fallen 50% in 50 years, plus sperm counts have fallen 45%.
We're sitting...
A woman's wrote a book on this called Countdown, a famous doctor. It's pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, we're sitting 8 hours a day on the computers, and then when we're done, when I say we, I'm not referring to us, but I'm on the computer a lot. Then the average guy goes and he eats something and he sits on the couch and watches Netflix.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not going to the gym. Yeah. And so and this is the thing, you're seeing this change happen where there's no evolution within the species, I don't believe across evolution, but within the species of human males, there's no need for that testosterone to be that high. You're not out farming. You're not out changing a car tire. You're not out working on my godfather. He worked on sprint cars. Nobody knows what that is. We probably know what sprint cars are. Yep. But he's out there. He's like, this is a 350 motor. This is a 283. This is a big block Chevy with the orange sprayed engine. So
let's port the jets, man. We're going to get it going.
Right.
Sure.
The carburetor. So the point is this. I had duties as a kid, go out and clean the chicken coop. A freaking rooster. Yep. I ran my ass off. That's why I was good in football. I could run fast because of the rooster.
Was
right?
A rooster chasing you.
And then he goes, I'm going to give you your first horse, a Shetland pony, the meanest son of a bitch in the world.
They are too.
The orange one with the white tail.
They bite.
Guess what? I got kicked like a football, but I lived through it. Here's the thing. To your point, Troy, men don't have to biologically have that testosterone level because it's not being used. And as a result,
it's true.
Men of valor like Thor, yourself, Tates, the Samuels, the Rolos come into play and go, hey guys, this is what's wrong, but you've adjusted, you've recognized that, and you've made a shift. And then they're not shifting. They're not shifting. You're telling them all the stuff to do verbally, mannerisms, but nobody's going to the gym. No, and you have to because you're not getting any physical activity.
And
you're watching Pornhub.
And it's worse than that. We've got atrazine. We've got impacts in our drinking water from progestins that are out there from birth control.
The plastic in here.
They're huge. And the worst part about it is it causes metabolic syndrome. I have studied this quite extensively for clients and because of the bikini competition, all that. That people end up with metabolic syndrome, and as you know, people that are overweight store an enzyme in their fat, and that fat, and it's called aromatase, and that aromatase converts free testosterone into estrogens in
That's
the
why you
body.
need to take an aromatase inhibitor, right?
No, I don't recommend that at all. No, I don't. I'm opposed to it. I'm opposed to actually being in shape, so you don't need that. But it is kind of a vicious cycle,
right?
And it does have an kind of an effeminate effect, or actually makes people grouchy and bitchy.
Yeah.
You think about it. That rise in estrogen right before menses. So here you are overweight. You're sitting down. You get kind of bitchy and like that. So,
but from a dating perspective, what's interesting though, because you're right. I mean, we don't now. Maybe this is almost like a evolutionary adjustment because actually that level of testosterone is not really now required, and maybe over time it will continue to decline because now it's the likes. Well, Zuckerberg, I know he's like getting jacked now and fighting and stuff, but you know what I mean. It's those kind of dudes who are running the world. However,
but he's also doing jiu-jitsu. So
absolutely. Just as an example, the guys who are good at coding and whatever, they're the guys who make the money and they've got the power and shit. So however, the problem is that what do women actually find attractive? What women still find attractive is that spark. It's that Zerka Riz. It's that whatever that thing is, right? That's
vibe.
what that vibe they still find attractive, and that vibe we could increasingly now think comes down to testosterone.
Right. If I
had
$1 for every time, I just need to feel their energy. I'd be a millionaire.
But it's true. But it's true though, isn't it? It's true because this is the thing, right? We coach dudes. People think it's all about money. People think it's all about looks, whatever. We coach dudes who've got money. I've coached a dude who's sitting on 25 million. It's not about money. It's not even about looks necessarily.
Yeah.
It's about, and again, sounding woo-woo, it's about that vibe in the moment when you're there in front of the girl. What are you communicating?
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of dudes are fucking not communicating anything, or they're just like, oh yeah, hey, nice purse. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing. There's nothing there.
It's very safe to isolate yourself too, and I think that's what a lot of guys do is they isolate themselves and hold out that fantasy, and that's why OnlyFans is so popular. Heck, not only OnlyFans. You guys notice the rise of the red pill female coaches out there? They're taking your sound bites, Troy, and then they're mixing it with some woo woo and saying, "Oh, be emotionally available," and they look like the girl next door, and the guy's like, "Wow, I'll listen to her dating advice because my God, I really hope I could get her someday." The new grift, right? Or maybe it's not a grift. I mean, they're selling a hope on something. But I do notice a rise of that sort of thing for these guys that are like your example. They're just not quite there. They're a little bit effeminate. They're struggling with their own shadow in some respects, right?
Yeah.
How do you break a guy through that when you're doing your boot camps?
I'll be totally honest. It's not easy because, and I was having a conversation with somebody in Miami about this. It's sort of like it's the hardest thing to do because you could teach a guy lines. If you think about game initially back in 2005, basically it was like, right, learn these lines. Yeah. Here's some things to say. Learn these techniques. this is what you do. This is how you escalate, isolate the girl, and all that kind of stuff. And all that stuff has value. It's amazing.
Yeah, it works. How do you actualize on it, though, right?
There's great content out there, but for me, the problem is, how is the guy doing it? So I'll coach guys sometimes. I was coaching a lot of dudes in Warsaw, Poland over the last, few months, year or so. And they've obviously watched a lot of videos. They've obviously read a lot about this stuff. So they know the kind of thing they're meant to be doing. They'll go in front of the girl. So, hey, listen, I just saw you. You look really nice. I wanted to say hello. But the way that they're coming across is fundamentally not simpy. It's fundamentally they're coming across in a weak way. There's not much dominant power there. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing.
Offering deference, so to speak.
A little bit, yeah. Or they're doing it in a very nice guy way.
It's interesting because what I did, and again, I had no book, right?
Yeah.
I was trying to trial by fire. So I wouldn't ask, I'd tell.
Exactly.
I would go up to the girl and wherever I was meeting her and say, hey, I just say, look, hey, give me your number. We're going to grab coffee next week. I'm around. I saw you looking at me or whatever. I kind of lead them because they want to be led.
Exactly.
Inherently, they want to be led, even though they say, no, I don't want to be led. I'm an independent woman. No, we're going to go to coffee. I don't say, hey, do you think I can get your number? No. And if it's got to be the right setup, right? And I think the setup's like, I don't golf, but examples, if you put the golf ball on the tee at the wrong area level and you go to hit the driver, it depends on how high the ball's going to go. Vertical, it might go up, slice, draw, whatever. And if the setup's right, you see her look a couple times, smile. I'm going to go in for the kill, and when I go in for the kill, I'm not going to go in lightly. I'm not going to go in like a butterfly. I'm going to come in like an F-16. That thing's coming in. You're going to hear the sound bite, right? The shock wave. And it's like, boom, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay. Instead of, hey, I noticed you were looking at me. Do you think I could get your number? Dude, you're gone. You're already gone.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And the other thing that girls will complain about is when dudes... they're trying to arrange the date, and the dude is like, so where would you like to go on Tuesday? And the girl's saying, no, I want him to tell me. It's like, I know this great place, cocktails, meet me there at 8, wear something cute.
It's funny you said that, because then when you're in the relationship and you go, hey, we're going to go here. I really don't like that place.
Yeah.
And it's like that joke from The Notebook. What do you want? And the meme is like, where you want to eat. What do you want, right? Because you can't please them. Yeah. It's a joke.
I know,
but it's not
very real.
It's very real.
The way I find with that specifically is I'll go in strong anyway, regardless of if she's going to like it or not. I'll say, hey, I know this great place. It's fucking awesome. Wear a cute dress. I'll meet you at 8. Now it might be she says, oh, that's too far from where I live, or I prefer this other thing, and that's okay. You could be open to negotiation, but in the first instance, you want to be the one who's saying, no, this is what we're going to do. And you're right, because it's that kind of thing. Oh, wait, I'd love it if I could get your number. Or I had a guy the other day, and he was sort of saying to the girl, like, please can I get your number? And it's like, no, dude, you've got to be fucking, assumptive about this. Because if you are that archetypal high value man, you're just going to expect that she's going to want to give you the number.
We gave him,
what I mean?
That's right.
We gave him a nickname.
Correct.
He's Daniel Craig.
Well,
cut price, Daniel Craig.
Walmart special.
Well, if you're the bargain basement Daniel Craig, then I'm the bargain basement Chris Hemsworth, right?
There you go. No, the other trend I've seen here in the States, and I'm hearing this from men, is women don't want to be picked up anymore. They want to meet you there.
Oh, no, they want to be picked up.
They say that, but all these guys have been running into
actually physically. I'll show you. And you bench press them right over your head like this. And then you let them down, and they line up to do it.
There you go. But they're asking these girls out on dates.
Oh, dates. I meant really.
Oh, no. I'm talking about like, hey, I'll pick you up at 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'll meet you there. Have you seen that a lot, or is that just a U.S. thing?
Might be a US thing, because normally, say in London, for example, normally it's more like, I'll just get her to meet me at the venue. But then in London, people don't drive very much because it's, people
it's like New York. Everybody takes Ubers, taxis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that might be more of a US specific thing in certain cities or whatever. But yeah, I'm not sure what the best prescription would be for that then. Do you think it's more dominant to just say...
I think they're afraid. I think the women here are so skeptical of the guy. Not afraid of him like he's going to put her in the desert in a hole. I think it's more like if he doesn't fit all their check marks, they want to be able to bail and not be trapped.
Which is kind
They
of...
certainly have a lot of options that men don't experience.
You can kind of see their point, though, can't you, with that? Because, who wants to really be on a fucking date with somebody for 2 hours if they're a simp or if they're a chump,
So my thing was I was like, let's go grab coffee.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be stuck.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like,
right,
this
right.
woman, oh no,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Right.
She's annoying me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this is funny. This dating coach was on Facebook. This gal from Seattle, where I'm from, originally.
she
She's like, I can't remember. I'll show you later. But she's like, oh, coffee date's not a date. Like, no, I'm not taking you out to dinner until I pre-qualify your ass to make sure you're not a pain in my ass, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's not a date. It's not a date. It's a qualification phase. And she took it from the other way, meaning I'm qualifying you. You're not qualifying me. Why should I spend my time dating you? I have the options. You don't have control of this
Sounds
situation.
Like a pain in the ass for the start,
Right, that's my
brother.
point. Because she is a masculine woman. And this is my point. Men have to understand that we have control of the power wheel. This is what I call it. Power and
Yeah.
control. You are qualifying them. You're not going in hoping they like you. You got to go in the mindset that I'm seeing if you're going to fit in my frame, if you can qualify to be with me. We're grabbing coffee. That's the way you have, because the men, I think what happens, we're like, oh, I hope she wants to date me. No. Does she qualify to date you?
Yeah.
You got to think better of yourself as a man.
Exactly.
How do you guys feel about pre-selection? Because I think that can cut a lot of that out pretty quickly.
Well, we got the king of pre-selection, Michael Sartain, coming in later. I mean, the way that he does it, from what I've seen,
Yeah,
when you're in Vegas and you're surrounded by like bikini-clad beauties, I mean, obviously that's gonna have a huge
But
effect.
it doesn't have to just be that.
No.
Right? It could be
no.
social circle game. we used to call it, right?
It definitely works. It definitely works.
But I'll say this, and he doesn't agree with me. This is not a place to date women.
I agree with you.
Okay, this is not a great place for a guy to be. I don't care if you can pull women here or not. I always say don't date and look.
Why is that?
Dating's okay. Dating's okay. Don't. Okay, let me reframe this. Dating and relationships is two different things.
Yeah.
Okay, I see people. We're in a relationship. It's not a relationship unless you're living together. That's a serious relationship, in my opinion. This is just me. So when you're in Vegas, you're like,
Yeah, okay.
So here's what you're going with. When I dated, I was in LA dating girls. I was in Vegas. I was great, fine. There's none of those girls I would want to put a cuff on, bring them home to mama. They're problematic. Here's the point. I go to C markets. You know the passport bros? There's passport bros domestically. They're called C market cities, small towns, Tucson. There's tumbleweeds there. There's nothing there. My girl didn't even know what six figures meant. She was a 6. She was cute. Now she's an 8. But she didn't. She was raised to be a good wife. She was not tainted by let's go to Wet Republic. Let's go here. Let's go here.
Modesty goes a long way when you're
So
looking for an LTR.
my point is this. Look, it's not a flex to have 10 girls on your podcast or at a pool party. That's no flex because those girls are meaningless to me. The point is that I would not take a guy that's ready to settle down. You're coming here. Every girl's Instagram, they've been to 5 countries in 6 months, and some guys paid for it.
So what would a settle down mean here?
There is no set. That's my point.
Let me ask you this: I didn't realize you were 54. You're in great shape. You look fantastic.
Well, almost
for,
54. Don't push it, right?
But you're old enough to remember when, because I'm over 60. But when I was younger in America and dating was going on, it was dating. We dated to do a couple things. We screened people. We dated non-exclusively. Even the women knew this. We would date when we said we were dating. It was all non-exclusive at that time. And we kind of felt each other out in more ways than one.
Right.
Okay. Oh. And the cream rise to the top.
Right.
Literally. And then at that point, we decided if it was going to be exclusive. And the purpose was at that time, because we all kind of had this understanding we'd like to have families and children. And it was not that we had this big discussion about when or where. It was like, this is the process of becoming a mature adult in America. Right. I don't see that as anywhere even close today. It's just this strange, but here in Vegas, wouldn't this be kind of that old dating style?
No,
You're just here to have fun?
Here's the thing. Everybody's connected to everybody. See, when we were dating, we didn't know. Nobody was alpha widowed.
Right.
None of the girls were alpha widowed. They never, you got to understand here. Hey, you're with a girl. Let's go. Oh, I've already been to Tulum. Oh, I've already been to Playa del Carmen. Oh, I was owning a Lambo.
Great. You haven't been to my apartment.
Exactly. Here's my point. The point is, here's my point. Every girl you connect with, see, before it was your phone number.
Yeah.
Now it's let me get your Instagram.
Yeah.
No,
it is though.
You say that even
no. I know it is.
Even when we meet, like I met some people from Miami that were in business.
Yeah,
they had all the Rolexes on, big diamond rings. We're talking about watches, and they're like, "Let's exchange IGs." Here's the problem in Vegas. I get a girl's IG. She's connected to 74 guys I already know.
Yeah.
It's like you.
Sure.
If we had a stamp on body count, I mean, I'm a man. You know, my body count was pretty high. I was single for a while.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, hers is 3 times the size of mine. It's just like, hey, has this thing got a warranty?
Does it really matter if she's not going to be your main?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't when you're. That's my point.
Good point.
That's my point, Thor. It doesn't when you're dating,
Yeah.
right? But when it comes time to buy, right? You don't want a rebuilt engine on a brand new Mercedes.
No more buy. It's just lease option to own.
Right.
Sorry, guys. I've lived too long.
Oops, that's okay.
It's
That's okay.
It's
Don't worry
lease
about
option to own. And by the way, there is a discount for miles.
But you see my point. And so for me, it was like, you know what? Been there, done it. I need the girl that's a little more pure. I'm not looking for a virgin. I wasn't, but I was looking for somebody. She's been with 6 men. She's in Tucson. She was married for a while. You know, whatever. Her mom raised her to be a good wife. You know, it's like she started competing.
Yeah.
It's like great because I didn't.
That's fantastic.
I didn't want to have to go to Colombia. I didn't want to have to go to Mexico. So I brought the passport bros. It was a passport girl bringing her here. She was already here. You know, so
There's nothing wrong with
But
that.
again, if I was single, could I go out and date hot chicks here? Yeah, but dude, I've been there, done that.
I still personally, I could be wrong because I haven't spent long enough here, but I still personally don't think it's my preferred place to date anyway.
No.
Even if you're just looking for, for
No,
fun.
no.
I would much rather, we talk about, I'd much rather go to Colombia. I'd much rather go to Mexico.
100%.
I think I would agree with you just
Argentina.
because I do know immigrants from those areas and from the East. And there is the ones fresh off the boat, they're very interesting in that some of them are quite conservative and different and,
I think there's something to be
very
said. I think
interesting.
I think
you
there's
know?
something to be said for going to the source. I mean, the thing about Miami.
I would think so too. I haven't been to the source.
I mean, the thing about Miami, for example, is you've got a lot of like Colombians, Venezuelans, Mexicans, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they're cute, but if you like those kinds of girls, why not just go to the actual
Very
countries?
feminine, right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because Miami's going to, like, no disrespect, but Miami's going to do something to a woman if she's there for a period of time.
And there's nothing wrong with renting for a moment. Like I'm gonna rent this Lambo, right? But here's the problem. Watch this.
Let's call it a test drive.
Test drive. Yeah, take a test drive, right?
Yeah.
The amount of issues and problems that you have just test driving here.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm gonna test drive. I know she's a bad girl. She's slid on the pole, but I'm gonna have fun with her for a moment. There's a lot of repercussions that come here.
There can be, yeah.
This place, I'm like, dude, I just wanted to go on a date. Now I got people DMing me, and she said this about me. It's just
Drama.
there's too much drama here.
Yeah.
Is it, because even though it's a big city, it's a relatively small
It's
community.
it's a big small town. It's a B market. A B
understand.
market that acts like LA, but it's not. B market's the population size. It's like 1.4 million in the city limit. So, but everybody's in a close area. You get 45 minutes in everywhere. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
So 1.4 is
1.7. I'm guesstimating.
It's not massive, is it? And then obviously you've got all the tourists coming through. and
But
stuff,
it looks like, but on the front end, it looks like LA.
yeah.
And then you get here, and it's small town. So it's like if you lived in some podunk town in Kansas, population of 600, you know all the girls. And I come in, it's like, oh, she's already been with Bobby, Timmy, Billy, Stevie.
Yeah.
So the key is just knowing that the girl's worth knowing.
Right. But then when they get here, it's keeping them from not being tainted. See, that's the problem. It's association. It's
Yeah.
lifestyle. It's who you associate. It's the 5 people around you
It's
become.
that influence, and that is a huge deal. Is influence. Females are very influenced. Males are too at this point, but the amount of influence is incredible. I talk to guys that are in long-term relationships, and if they're in marriages and her wife's girlfriends are single or freshly single, it is a contagion, and it's very, very risky.
That's
but
why
that actually bleeds over into single people.
That's why I said married women don't have single friends. My girlfriend doesn't have single friends.
And if she
Yeah.
does have friends, you need to get to know them.
But then it's like, oh, we really like him. No, not that get to know. But I'm joking.
Well,
but
no,
I'm
there's
not.
nothing wrong with that. You need to just bang our
Right.
You need to bang our friends, and then everything's
see,
good.
Even better.
I did the setup. We live 25 minutes
Yeah,
north.
yeah.
She's focused. She's doing her brand. She's competing. She's in prep now.
Yeah.
So, and I'm busy doing this. I'm
Yeah.
running my company, and we're going. It's like, hey, we're having a get together at Zook, and we're like, dude, we ain't got time for this.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But if you have good couple friends that hold similar values, they don't have to have the same values.
True.
That's a good
Facts.
thing.
But it's funny. We don't even have time. We're so busy.
But you should do it.
Glenn and Coco.
Yeah, that's
great
a good
people. Yeah.
Glenn's a good person.
Well, I
man.
know about Glenn. Coco's great. Glenn, no. I call him Glenn is the
like-
red pill Jesus, but he's also the Neanderthal. So I got a nickname for him.
Well,
I call him. Wait, you're gonna laugh. You know what his nickname is? Captain Caveman.
Yeah, no.
Unga bunga.
He's my master at arms in the Drakars. So.
Okay.
He definitely
this, okay.
he's got a heart of gold.
He is.
But he is loaded with it. He is almost a spitting image of my oldest son. They're actually the same age. They're both creatives. One's an actor, one's a professional musician. So I'm very familiar with the Glenn type.
So I call him Captain Caveman. Unga bunga. We're gonna get him a shirt.
It's fine. But no, he's very. So I've been to movie premieres with him. He's very socially aware, and having friends like that as couples,
100%.
It's actually a good thing.
And we do. We went
relationship,
out to a thing with the
even
crypto
as a
event.
single person. I mean, he's a good.
Oh
person.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you need to set up a hub here, brother.
Absolutely, man. No, I'd love to.
And you know what
Damn,
the
that'd
key?
be
You know what
good, Troy.
you know what the key is? You know what the key is? Is have a course when millionaires fly in, November. F1, all the billionaires from Monaco, millionaires come in. They don't have a problem meeting women because they have money, but they have a problem. Their different problem is screening to see if it's just about the money.
Yes.
But if you have a coaching class that comes in, a seminar where they can come in, and all of us are here, men of valor. All of us are here in the space, and we're giving them tips. They fly in, they take a course in Vegas when they're here for the weekend. Maybe it's just for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and we're here. That could be something we could do. Because everybody, there's 3 million. How many visitors come in here a year?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, but
Well, at the
Yeah,
bottom,
that's a good idea. Is it November for the
November's
F1?
F1.
Yeah, and the bottom line is they're men just like us. You know, in a lot of ways, they have a presence about them. They've earned their way.
100%.
I mean, I would suspect a lot of them. I mean, there are probably some, but a lot of them are not trust fund babies. You know, if they're going to sustain it, they're out
100%.
there. Yeah, so they could be a good clientele and
Absolutely.
actually a resource. You know,
But again, like we were saying earlier, money it's great.
It's
and
just a
obvious-
component.
But it's not gonna. It's not in itself. It's not going to get you the kind of women you want to get.
No.
I don't. Think.
not sustainable.
Not to say. I mean, you're going to get some gold diggers. You're going to get access.
Yeah.
To hot women, but ultimately, they want a guy who's got something, who's got that thing, that indefinable quality.
I know what you're talking about.
A dominant masculine person.
No. You know what it's called? It's
Riz.
called the Quan, Jerry. The Quan.
Oh, good D game.
No. Quan. Remember the Quan?
The Quan. No Quan.
Jerry Maguire. The Quan, Jerry.
Oh, okay.
What's the Quan, Rod? Rod Tidwell. You got to watch Jerry Maguire.
I've not watched. I don't. Yeah, I've not watched it
It's
for
a
years.
sports games or
Yeah,
sports
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
So
That's
But
why I
do you
started
think-
my first business because of that movie.
Do you
Oh, good,
think
good.
that? Do you know rich guys who are kind of dorky, but they're still getting hot women?
I was yes, I was in Seattle.
Okay.
Okay, it's a tech hub.
Yeah.
Every guy makes over 100K, which again, 100K here, you're doing good. Seattle, you're not. But
Yeah.
everybody makes six figures. They're making 180, 175, 200
Yeah.
with stock and all that shit. And you see some of these guys show up, and I just saw it the other night. I said the girl sat down next to me. I was taking a break from poker. I looked over. I'm like, okay, she's very attractive. And here comes her husband. I'm like, oh my God, this guy. If I went, he'd fall over.
But just to play devil's advocate and bring a bit of Rollo Tomasi in here, there's an argument she might marry that dude because he's got the money, he's got the stability, bloody, bloody, blah. But does she viscerally want to fuck that guy? You know, obviously not speaking about specifically that couple.
No. And I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
This is my opinion. This is a fact, objective truth. They had 160 women look at, the girls that say they want dad bods. 160 women, they asked them this question, and they said, who looks better, like the Magic Mikes, right? The point is that I like the dad bods. And we're not saying you don't love your husband, but who would you rather have sex with? They always go for the guy in shape, right? And so the problem is they might love the guy, and they're in love with him, and maybe she's having sex with him. But if a guy came along like Magic Mike that had his shit together, game frame, money, mind, all that shit, they're going to go, wow, that's the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that they're not having sex.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
No.
But it's like we want to be. I think a lot of guys who watch this kind of content and they want to get good with women, they don't. What we all really want is visceral desire, isn't it? Really,
really is.
We want the girl to be like, oh my God, I want to jump into bed with you. That's what we actually fucking want.
But you'll find that the females don't really want to admit it. They need plausible deniability. You'll agree with that. They need that.
Plausible deniability.
It's a part of their character because of their social component, their communitarian nature.
Yeah.
You know, they need that, and so he's right, but you're right too. They need both of those components, you know, for sure.
But I think maybe at different points in their life, right? Maybe. Yeah,
Rollo's got that.
Yeah.
I think he's really onto something there because it definitely. I've noticed that too. Been around a long time. Definitely. Earlier on, there's a lot of different drivers there, and they're affected socially differently as they age. And that's
we got to end this short because John booked his back-to-back.
Oh, he did. Okay.
With somebody else coming in because we had to move calendars. But hey, look, I appreciate you guys back. We got to have you back in. Yeah. Make sure you go to hit. We're going to have the link to your Instagrams in there. Do you got a link to go get your book?
I do. I'll have to give it to you afterwards.
I'll put it in the description box.
My IG is rp.thor. Really get it. It's dominant masculine presence. It's learning how to cultivate your authentic self as a man and display supreme confidence and control over how you're perceived. So
right on.
And that's really what it's about. It's the outside in. Yep. When you really conquer the outside, the inside takes care of itself.
There you go.
It really, really does.
And follow Troy Francis as well. Thank you for coming out.
Troy Francis, all social platforms.
They're going to put their IGs up there. And thank you for following this podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Please hit the bell for notifications. They're not pushing the videos out. They are oppressing the videos or suppressing them or whatever. Matrix.
For sure.
Follow, like, share this video. Stay strong. And remember, the truth will set you free. See you soon.
Skull.